Hi, welcome to Crohn's and Colitis Connect. I'm Jacquelin Leech.
And I'm Katie Schmidt, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. It is back to school time. You can kind of feel that maybe fall is coming a little bit.
I don't know about that yet, but we're getting there, right?
I see Halloween decorations coming out,
and
so that's giving me hope. Yes, we've made it through the summer. Okay, so speaking of back to school, how did Jackson do?
He's doing well. I mean, it's pretty easy just to get back into the swing of things where he's at. But I know you had Will getting started with kindergarten.
I did. So my oldest started kindergarten last Monday. We successfully made it through week 1. We were on time, lunches packed, no tears.
Awesome.
I maybe cried a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, it was great. And we are thankful to be kind of back in a routine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Good. We have an awesome show as well.
We do, with school getting back started. Today we're talking about pediatric IBD. We're going to be talking about transitioning to that young adult care. We have some really great resources that we're sharing, and hope that you guys find it helpful today. We're excited. We have Dr. Ashish Patel, director of our Southwestern Pediatric IBD Center at Children's Health. I know you'll be talking to him in our...
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think he's got a lot of great tips and tricks for our parents of our pediatric patients as well as our teens and young adult patients.
Yeah, so that's going to be great. And we also have Tariq Washington Walker joining us in our patient segment, and we'll get to know Tariq a little bit more. And up next, we have Get Connected with Alicia Barron.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia and I'm your education manager, and this month I have 2 things to talk to you about. The first thing is I'd like to invite you to join me at our annual IBD Education Symposium that's happening on Saturday, September 8th at the Frontiers of Flight Museum. And this year I'm really excited to announce that our Chapter Medical Advisory Committee has been very busy putting together 2 programs. One for people living with IBD and kids living with IBD and their families, and one for nurses and mid-level providers. And exciting news, we're going to have nursing continuing education credits attached to that program. Our patient education program is going to cover things like research updates, diet information, staying healthy with inflammatory bowel disease, and questions to ask your healthcare team. So things that you maybe don't think about that you could be asking them that would help you stay well with inflammatory bowel disease. And we're going to end with a really, really interesting panel discussion led by Dr. John Crohn, our Chapter Medical Advisory Committee Chair, about what are the questions that our scientists are looking at sort of further down the road. So what's the next questions that we're trying to answer? Our professional education program will focus on how to treat people living with inflammatory bowel disease, things like triaging calls and helping your patients stay well, and what medications are used to treat inflammatory bowel disease. So a really great program. It's going to be a really informative day and really interesting and fun, and so I hope you'll join me. You can find more information and you can register at this link, so Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org, which is our website, /NTX Education, so North Texas NTX Education. So Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org /NTX Education. So join me there. The next thing I want to talk to you about is, now that school is back in session, I want to introduce you to our teen website. So our teen website is www.justlikmeibd.org. That rhymes nicely. JustLikeMeIBD.org. And on this website is a really great wealth of information and resources for teens and preteens who are living with inflammatory bowel disease. And it's designed for them. It's not designed for you parents. It's designed for our teens. And so in there, it gives a great bunch of accommodation information on schools. So helping teens learn how to talk to their teachers about their inflammatory bowel disease, know what things they can ask for school accommodations, things like talking to their peers about their inflammatory bowel disease, and some tips and tools and really great things. So there's various places on that website that sort of walk people through that information. There's also information about preparing for college. So if you have an older teen who's headed off to college, there's some additional information there on how to work with your college and your college instructors on your inflammatory bowel disease. So it's a really great thing. There's also a guide for teachers and personnel, so you can actually download a copy of a guide for teachers and personnel to help them learn more about inflammatory bowel disease and the ways that they can help you stay healthy and successful at school. The really cool thing about this website is it's not just about school. There's also some additional information on there about dating and about relationships and fitness and sports and stress and sleep and how to maybe talk to your family and friends about inflammatory bowel disease. So really a fantastic wealth of information and resources for younger people living with inflammatory bowel disease. So I hope you'll share that with your teens and young adults in your family. And I hope that they get some great tips and tools from there as well. And I really, really hope that you will join me at our Education Day on September 8th. Again, you can go and register for that at crohnscolitisfoundation.org/ntxeducation. You'll see the full agenda on there. You'll see who's speaking, and you'll get a lot of information. And you'll get to come eat breakfast with me and join us to learn a lot more about Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and things that are happening at the foundation. So thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to you, Dr. Patel.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Dr. Patel is the Southwest Pediatric IBD Center at Children's Health Director. It's a big title.
Yeah, it's a big title.
You're a
It's
big
a lot of
deal.
words.
So
It's a lot
thank
of
you
words.
for taking your time to
happy to
come
do
and
it.
talk to us. Yeah, so we had a couple questions come in from some of our viewers.
Sure.
Okay, so first is, how have you seen the pediatric IBD treatment kind of evolve over the last several years?
Well, I think one of the unique things probably over the last 5 to 10 years is this sort of era of biologics, which moved therapy from the traditional oral immunomodulators or steroids, which we were used to these newer medications, which were really meant to target inflammation more directly. And so over this really last decade, we've seen the evolving of those biologic therapies, originally in the class of drugs known as anti-TNFs, and now to really new mechanism of action drugs. And what's been really neat about that is the fact that during that decade, the rate of surgeries, the rate of hospitalizations, the rate of things like we see in pediatrics like growth failure and nutrition problems, those have all decreased with the use of these more appropriate medications.
Well, that is wonderful news.
It really is.
Certainly, I bet gives our patients a lot of hope for even what's on the horizon and coming up.
Definitely.
Excellent. What is the next kind of, in that same vein, the next research frontier, do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that we talked about there being good therapies, and you know, one of the things the foundation talks a lot about, and we all want is a cure for this disease, right? We want to, we would like to eradicate or really cure this disease, not just treat it well. And one of the things you see with the current group of therapies that we have is that often patients try one therapy and it's not perfect, and they have to try another therapy and then another therapy. And sometimes the first therapy works great, and sometimes you know, patients have been through 2 or 3 therapies before they get to something that works. And so, though there continues to be a really nice evolution of new medications that treat this disease in a variety of ways, what I would really like, and I think short of a cure, is to be able to tell somebody when they're sitting in front of me for the first time with this new diagnosis that this is the best medicine for you to try first. And that's this idea of more personalized or individualized therapy. And that, I think, is really the next research frontier in helping us understand different varieties of disease and then how to treat those diseases more specifically, more individually.
Yeah, so important. That's so
Absolutely.
important. Okay, so you heard Jacquelin and I talking about back to school. You've got 2 young ones at home. your oldest off to first grade.
That's right. That's right. She was
went
very
well?
excited. She was
Okay.
very excited.
Okay, good.
She's my straight arrow. Loves to go. I find her reading in her room by herself all the
Okay.
time. I'm always having to threaten to take her books away if she doesn't
Oh man,
start shaping up.
that's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about then our pediatric patients headed back to school. What can you tell us, or what advice do you have for our families, our patients headed back to school, and kind of how to deal with their disease?
Well, I think one of the things with back to school is that it's a really stressful time.
Yes.
It is a lot of energy, and at first getting back, like you said, getting back on a schedule and a regimen, and that's we talk about stress, and sometimes we always think of it as a negative, like stress is bad. But this is stress, but it's a good stress. I mean, kids have to get used to it, and they have to be in a regimen, whether it's going to first grade or going to your senior year.
Sure.
And so I think one of the things to really emphasize, especially in this back to school time, is good sleep habits,
Okay.
trying to figure out ways to control your stress. And by that I mean understanding that it's going to be a stressful time and going into it knowing that, but also figuring out ways to outlet that stress.
Okay.
This is another time where we, again, try to talk to families about, it's important to be active, not sedentary. Do things that help you stay active, physically active, get out and do the things that you like, in addition to doing your school activities and getting back into those routines. And then the last piece is diet. Certainly sometimes getting back to school means now you're eating at school and you're rushed in the morning, so you're not eating. So again, just a re-emphasis again on making sure your diet is up to par. You're getting the calories you need, you're getting good calories, and you're eating regularly, keeping up with your nutrition. I think all of those things are really important for anybody. Certainly someone with a chronic disease and someone that knows that their body can be sensitive to that. And we know that disease can be sensitive to things like stress and diet. So those things can cause a flare if we don't control them well.
Okay, so know your triggers.
Yes.
Prepare ahead. I think that's awesome advice. And like you said, kind of for all of us, right? So kind of along the same lines of school, can you tell us more about, let's say, the 504 plans and when you might want to think about requesting one of those?
So I think a 504 plan is really valuable for any child with a chronic illness.
Okay.
And so we really offer it or talk about it to all of our parents. And it's not a way necessarily to isolate or exclude your child. It's actually there locally, regionally, nationally. It's a federally mandated plan that helps give the appropriate resources to someone who might be dealing with issues that sometimes are out of their control, like this disease. And so we like to sort of engage families and talk about the 504 plan, even if it's just simple to say, give them appropriate bathroom privileges, and they may miss school. Most likely they're going to miss it for a medical reason, and sort of understand that might happen. And I think the schools are really receptive to that. I think I'll have the families, we'll talk to them, and I'll say, listen, set an appointment with your counselor or your teacher or counselor or even up to the principal if that's the right person to discuss it with, and share this plan with them. So then, if on the backside we run into a problem where the child is sick for a few days or longer or hospitalized, that's in place, and the school can then utilize their resources to send a teacher to the house or send the work to the house or make accommodations for that child to stay on their educational path, right? I think it's really important for kids to be surrounded by their peers, to stay in school. We talk about this disease that it can affect your normal day-to-day, but my long-term goal with all of these kids is that it doesn't change their potential.
Right.
They should be able to do everything that they want to. And being in school and having those resources, I think, is really important. And the 504 plan is a great way to do that.
Yeah, it sounds like a great resource and one to have in your back pocket. Just
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can talk to your doctor, your psychologist, any host. I mean, a lot. Our nurses will help with that. So
Excellent.
really, just try to bring it up and utilize it when you can.
Good. Everyone on the same team,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about maybe our teenage patients, our young adult patients. Sure. What suggestions do you have for those pediatric patients transitioning to their adult GI?
Yeah. That's a great point. It's a great time in their life. It's we talk a lot about this. How do we transition patients? And people sort of talk about it as like an individual time. Okay.
Hard line.
Yeah, exactly. You're 18. It's time to go see an adult doctor. And really, I don't see it that way. I think that for a lot of reasons, particularly patients with chronic illnesses, their emotional readiness sometimes varies from their chronological age, and sometimes lags behind their chronological age because of the fact that when they're sick, their parents really help do everything. And so one of our jobs, particularly as pediatric providers, is to help them gain a little of that independence, that autonomy, that self-confidence. And so though there's no sort of hard lines in the sand, in my practice, I like to say once the kids turn 16, I like to have them put in the room by themselves, so that when I go in and talk to them, it's a conversation with them. And then I don't exclude the parents, and then I bring the parents in and we have a conversation and let them fill in any gaps that they didn't, that the child maybe didn't address or they didn't bring up, which sometimes is the case.
Sure.
But also it gives, in my opinion, it starts giving that child, that young adult now, a voice. And then when 18 or 19 rolls around, we'll reassess some things like, are you finished with high school? Because some 18-year-olds aren't finished with high school yet. So are you finished with high school? What's your plan after high school? Do you plan to go into the workplace? Well, that sort of financial independence, maybe not complete, but that's a good time to say, okay, you need to transition to an adult doctor. Some kids decide to go to school or go to college or trade school or junior college, whatever it might be. And sometimes that's a gray area because they may be off in Missouri going to school. And I don't want them to set up a doctor there that they're going to have for 3 or 4 years and then move again. So often what I'll do is I'll help co-manage their care wherever they are. And then once they settle somewhere, then again, we'll revisit that idea of transitioning. I think sometimes it's insurance dependent, sometimes it's what support you have. But a lot of insurances now allow kids to stay on their parents' insurance, sometimes till 23 or 24. So probably for me, most important is the child's emotional readiness to transition. Now, we need to help that. We need to make sure that actually happens. I don't need to just keep them until they're 35 because I don't think they're emotionally ready. But when they're ready, teach them to be ready, help them transition. Transition is really about trust. A lot of times that family will have seen me for several years and they have a sense of trust in me. And then now I say, okay, it's time for you to go see an adult doctor. And they're just nervous because they don't have an idea where they're going to go. And so the idea that, hey, I have also these people that I've worked with, these are providers in the area that are interested in taking care of young adults with IBD. That helps them sort of convey that sense of trust to somebody else. And we kind of work together to make that happen.
Got it. Well, you're the best, and your patients are so lucky to have you.
That was a long-winded answer, I think.
No, but so helpful.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Patel, for your time.
Happy to do it.
Up next, we have our patient connection section.
Hi, thanks so much, Katie, and thank you so much, Dr. Patel, for coming on. This is such an important topic today, and I'm so excited to have Tariq join us. So thank you so much for coming on and being part of our patient segment, Patient Connection.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You know, our fastest growing population with IBD is our pediatric population, and specifically with children under the age of 18. And you had shared with me that you were diagnosed with Crohn's at age 12.
12, yes.
Wow. What do you recall about receiving that diagnosis and handling this news at such a young age?
Well, actually, when I was diagnosed, it was actually like a sense of relief. I had been dealing with symptoms of Crohn's disease for a good year before they figured out exactly what was going on with me. I've seen several doctors, several different specialists, and they all could not figure out what was going on until about a year. And then that's when they finally told me. So it was more like a relief. Like I was like, oh, finally, I know what's going on. So now I can start treatment and figure out, how I can get better. So yeah, that was it wasn't the normal response, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, I've heard there's those challenges of, obviously taking time to receive that diagnosis, and for you it was, like you said, some answers.
Yes.
You had shared also with me that it was a time in middle school when you ended up really having your first surgery and overcoming some of those challenges at middle school. What was that like at middle school, and after your first surgery, and kind of learning to manage this disease at a young age?
Well, yeah, middle school, it was definitely the toughest. That's just, around the time where everybody's starting to feel like they're grown and they're just a little bit more rough. So, just those who didn't know what was going on with me, I had to carry around a pillow at that time because I had to sit on it because I had like a surgery that was on my bottom. And so I have to sit on this pillow, and people would always ask questions, just try to get in your business. And so sometimes it would be uncomfortable because you don't want to tell somebody, yeah, I had surgery on my bottom.
Right.
They don't understand at that age yet. And also kids would try to take my pillow and run away with it, and I couldn't run at the time. So it was like, dang, well, you got it.
Right.
But yeah, that was like the most part. Or they would be really rough with me and, like nudging me, punching me, just doing things that middle school kids do. And they don't know, so they're not like, oh yeah, he's hurt, so don't touch him. Oh, hit him.
Middle school's tough already.
Right.
I know it's when elementary schools are being blended, you're around new folks, and seems like it's a time when everyone's starting to try to figure out their own, and
Right.
so I can't imagine, and it sounds like you handled it really well.
I survived.
You also let me know that your little sister was recently
yes.
diagnosed, and what advice did you have for her? What advice would you have for a newly diagnosed kid or teen?
I feel like the best advice that I could give anybody, and even that I gave my sister, was just being open about it. That was the biggest thing for me. As long as you were open and you were able to tell people, tell your teachers, tell anybody that was around you about your disease, then they understand more. Like in middle school, if I was more open, they probably wouldn't have beat me up or took my pillow, or things like that. But if you tell people, your teachers, they'll understand. They'll let you go to the bathroom whenever you want to. They'll let you, the nurse will let you take a nap in the nurse's office if you're feeling really tired that day. Sometimes, like Dr. Patel said, you have to eat. I would be rushing to school, so I wouldn't be able to eat, but they let me like warm up my food or something in the nurse's office, and then I could eat it in class or something like that. So it's just those little things that you wouldn't usually be able to do that they'll let you do as long as you communicate with them and let them know that what you're going through.
Right. That's great advice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure did the same with friends and just sharing, that same openness. So
Yes.
wonderful. Well, in my time here at the foundation, I've seen you grow up so much from, first attending Camp Oasis. And I also know that you've had quite the journey with
Yes.
this disease. I know you've had some major challenges, and you just recently had a major surgery. How are you doing now?
Actually, I'm doing pretty well. Yes, I did. I just had surgery. I had my full colon removed in July. So I'm just recovering from that right now. But all in all, I'm actually feeling way better. This is the best I've ever felt in a long time. So I'm actually glad that this is something that didn't get my hopes up and then drop, because that was like the biggest thing or the hardest thing for me to deal with while battling Crohn's. Is I would try a new medication, or I'd have one surgery, and they'd always say, well, this should help you, and then I would get good for a while, I would gain a bunch of weight, and then I'll get sick again and lose it all. So those ups and downs is really what kind of crushed my spirits a lot dealing with Crohn's disease. Yes.
I'm sure that's got to be tough.
Yes.
I know today we talked, Dr. Patel had talked about transitioning, and so you've gone through that transition yourself.
Yes.
I know also, major transition just in life following high school and what's next. What did you learn from your experience that maybe will help other young adults as they begin to transition their care?
I would say keep a good relationship with your doctor. That's definitely number one. I had a great relationship with mine, and he helped me find different GI doctors wherever I went. So right after high school, I went to Howard University in DC, and he helped set me up with a doctor that was out there. And he kept ties with me. He would contact the doctor, and he would contact me just to help me, just get through things as I was out there. So just having that good connection with your doctor while you're transitioning is also, it's a very good thing. And just being very on top of things as well, because like Dr. Patel said, your parents aren't going to be there with you all the time. So just remembering to make those doctor's appointments, remembering to go to the doctor appointment, and taking yourself and doing the necessary things that you have to do to keep your health up and make sure that you're good is probably the biggest challenge with transitioning. Because if you aren't used to doing those things throughout the years, if you've been diagnosed at say 10 or 11 or 12, it's 9-10 years of not dealing with it by yourself. So
Right.
You just have to get used to doing everything on your own.
Yeah, and you're making those big decisions now, on your own.
Right.
You're taking on the ownership and responsibility. So, well, now just kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing. I know that you have recently started your own company and nonprofit.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Yes, I started a nonprofit with a friend called World Apparel Co. And this is actually some gear that I have on today. I have a World Apparel hat on. I also have a shirt. It says Dallas on there. And we design clothes in order to raise money for different charities, nonprofits, situations that are going around the world. So we usually create a shirt that pertains to each place that we donate back to or visit or spread awareness for. So this Dallas shirt was for the Promise House, which is a children's shelter in Dallas. And then another shirt we created was a Houston shirt, and we helped with the Hurricane Harvey victims. Flint t-shirt as well, and we help give back some water health filters and some water bottles for those in Flint, because the Flint water crisis with
Right.
the dirty water, everything that's going on there. It's been sad. It's been going on for 4 years, and they still have bad pipes and bad water. They still need help. But yeah, so that's just what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing. We've been doing so far, just really trying to help spread the word of the different things that are going on in the world that need attention. So.
That's great.
Yes.
I love to see that your passion is really just now giving back, and I think that's so wonderful. And people can check you out. It's worldapparelco.com. Is that correct? What's
Yes.
okay?
Yes, worldapparelco.com. That is the website where you could go on and buy our clothes. And worldmissions.work is the website. If you ever wanted to partner with us, or you had a question or somewhere that you think needs attention, you can always shoot it to us, and we'll start looking into that and start trying to bring awareness to it. And also, we have a Twitter and a Instagram page as well, where you can stay updated. It's just at World World Apparel Co. So,
Awesome.
yes.
Well, that's wonderful. And I know soon we're going to be collaborating on a project for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. So I thank you so much for that. And I really thank you, Tariq, for your bravery to come on and share your personal story and hopefully
no
help
problem.
others and inspire others. And we just thank you so much for being on today's show.
Yes, thank you for having me. You know,
Awesome.
CCFA, it hits home for me, You guys have helped me so much throughout my years.
Well, thank you so much. And up next, we have Connect With Us. Oh,
Okay, Tariq is incredible.
I know, isn't he?
Yes.
I feel so
Yes.
special to have met him 6 years ago and really seen him grow up to be the young man that he is today, and the important work that he's doing.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive. He is one to watch, for sure.
He is.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Tariq. Well, we wanted just to share with you guys, there's so much kind of happening right
Yes.
now. And it's what a great way to really get connected, to meet other families and individuals. So wanted to share with you a couple of upcoming events. And first and foremost, we have North Texas Giving Day. It's an annual giving day hosted by the Communities Foundations of Texas, where from 6 a.m. to midnight, anyone can get up and give if you're inspired. There's more than 2,500 nonprofits that participate, and so glad that the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is one of them. So you can search for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation right there at northtexasgivingday.org. And your donation that day will be will go further. There's bonus funds and prizes that are awarded by the foundation, the Communities Foundation of Texas. And we encourage you to get up and give on September 20th to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation North Texas chapter. Share the word, spread the news, help to raise awareness about the foundation and these diseases. So.
Yeah, such a good idea.
And it's fun.
And it's fun, yeah.
I love watching the barometer rise that
I
day.
do too, and after you donate, post something on Facebook that you donated. Challenge your other friends, family to match your donation. Let's do it, September 20th.
Yes, save the date, mark your calendars. Also that day, our Young Professionals Board is hosting their very first event.
I know, I'm excited. It's a trivia night. So it's coming up also September 20th. It's gonna kick off at 8 p.m. at Eastwood's Bar. So start brushing up on all that useless knowledge. Yeah, so we can win this thing. All the proceeds go to benefit the foundation, and it's our young professionals' first event, so you know it's going to be awesome. They're really excited about it and have been working really hard, and it will guarantee to be a super fun night out. So we can't wait to see you.
Tickets are $10 a person, or you can form a team, and sponsorships start at $100. So we hope you come out and join us for that. You can find out more on our chapter website at crohnscolitisfoundation.org and search for the North Texas chapter there. And it actually has a list of all of our events. We have so many coming up just in the next month.
Yeah.
And we also wanted to remind you about our North Texas Patient and Professional Education Program. I know Alicia touched on it in the segment earlier, but as a friendly reminder, this is next Saturday, September 8th from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Frontiers of Flight Museum. The link is right there on your screen where you can register. It's intended for patients, families, caregivers, but also we have a professional side. Some credits are being offered for our nurses and physician assistants. So we hope that you will join us and out for a really great program that
Absolutely.
Dr. Patel and our medical advisory committee has been working really hard on. And it's another great way, again, to get connected with our other patient families and professionals here, our local IBD community. So.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And the location is fun. It's family friendly. So make a day of it.
Yeah, we hope you'll join us. And of course, you get entry into the Frontiers of Flight Museum. So Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you again to Tariq and Dr. Patel for being part of our August show. And we hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Best of luck to all of our kids getting started back at school.
See you in September.
Bye.